A lot of familiar faces are already locked into roster spots, but there's still questions to be answered. Tonight, we try to sort it out on Fox Sports Southwest. And it is time. Spring baseball is here. The Rangers and the Royals from Surprise Stadium here in Surprise, Arizona. Night baseball tonight down here in the desert. Great to be with you tonight, folks. And hello and welcome in. I'm Dave Raymond alongside CJ Nikowski. A lot of changes for this Rangers team, but they all seem to be focused in one area, CJ, and that's pitching.
And it makes a lot of sense. You think about Yu Darvish, of course, traded a year ago. Andrew Kashner does not return. He's in Baltimore now. So the Rangers go out and they bring in a bunch of candidates, not just for the rotation, but also for that bullpen. And they are experienced candidates, and that certainly matters to the Texas Rangers. They expect to contend this year. They want to do it with some guys that have some track records.
All right, a lot of questions how they will put this rotation together. One guy who figures in, and maybe both as a starter and a reliever, is tonight's starter, Jesse Chavez.
Yeah, this is a really great option right now for the Rangers. When you think about he can do both, and you see what he's done over the course of his career, almost split it down the middle between the rotation and the bullpen. So he could be that swing man if the Rangers need him to be. He'll get a look as a starter, but if he has to go in the bullpen, that is certainly something that will work well for this team.
All right, we talked about some of the familiar faces offensively. Well, Delino DeShields, a breakthrough year last year. He'll be at the top of the order tonight and in center field.
A lottery ticket is so much more. Where, well, we've been playing for a couple of weeks down here, but our first televised ball game tonight, and the two teams that share this facility getting after it, the Rangers and the Royals, the first of what will be 3 head-to-heads this week. There's the skipper, Jeff Bannister, who, well, they had a split squad game earlier today down in Goodyear. Banny in his 4th season as the skipper for the Rangers. And hoping that this year this team can see a little bit of a, I don't know, a turnaround from last year's 78-win season. Delano DeShields will start things off tonight. And this is something we might see with regularity during the regular season in that leadoff spot in center field. And we are underway as Bert Smith gets strike one in there.
Yeah, and certainly for Delano DeShields, he's got to be feeling very comfortable and confident knowing he is going to be the guy. He had a battle for playing time last year, but proved himself. And it's at bats like that is why Jeff Bannister wants him at the top of the order.
They saw the numbers just a moment ago, the 370 average. He's a great spring player.
Well, this is what made Delano DeShields so successful last year. We talked about it a lot during the season. His batting average on ground balls, as much as this has been kind of dubbed the fly ball revolution, Delano DeShields had a very high batting average on balls that he put on the ground. He uses his speed to his advantage. He saw a hole in the right side. That is just a perfect swing from a leadoff hitter. He's got the good speed of Delano DeShields.
So now Chu tonight starting in right field. Chu last year healthy for the full season. I think he had one short stint where he was a little banged up, but it was a welcome turnaround from the previous season when he spent 4 stretches on the disabled list. DeShields running, and that one gets away from Butera, and Delano with a steal of second base.
That's the pressure that Delano DeShields can put on both the opposing pitcher but also the catcher. You see the really good jump there and unchallenged because Butera could not hold on to the ball. But watch what happens here. You start to come out of your crouch a little bit and your pitcher misses his spot. It's a bad combination. Good jump there from Delano. Head for a slide. Of course, he wears that big glove. Makes it very tough on Butera right there. You know he's probably going. You get a little bit jumpy. You're expecting a fastball or something away, and your pitcher misses down and in. As you're trying to come up, catch up all cleanly, and make a throw, very difficult to do.
Chu takes a strike, 1-1 the count. And Smith gets him to jump way out in front of that one. Birch Smith gets a start today. A Tommy John survivor. He had Tommy John at the beginning of the 2015 season. Missed all of 15 and pretty much all of 16 as well. You see his numbers last year in the minor leagues. A little high.
I think a lot of times we make that assumption. Tommy John surgery has become so routine. We say things like, well, okay, 12 months on the short end, maybe 15 on the high end for guys a little bit longer. But obviously, in the case of Smith, it took a little bit longer for him to miss those 2 full seasons and only get that half a year in last year. That is a long battle back from Tommy John.
Decent sized guy, 6'4", 225 pounds, and a lot of hair. I mean, that's mid-season to late season form right there.
It's tremendous flow. Easily, it looks like Steve Perry right there a little bit, doesn't it? Between the hair and the face. It's just jealousy, really. I couldn't do that.
No. But you tried probably, right? At some point.
Well, yeah. Did make an effort in high school. It wasn't pretty.
Back in your rock band days. 2-2. And Chu watches a close one, a full count. Chu is 7 for his last 14. This was a walk, a homer, a couple of doubles in that stretch. It'll stay 3-2. The Rangers offense, though, has been a little slow in the last week. The group hitting just a smidge better than 200, about 218 coming into play today over the last week. Had 7 hits earlier today and a 4-2 loss down at Goodyear against the Reds. Three-two. Oh, that is tight. So the first 2 men on for the Rangers tonight.
Another quality at bat there from Chu, and we're showing those runners in scoring position numbers. And it's not just the batting average and him coming through, but putting together quality at bats. He fouled off a tough pitch, worked that count 3-2, and ultimately draws himself a walk. And just like that, the Rangers are in business here in the first.
All right, brings up Elvis Andrus. Elvis coming off the best year in his big league career. Just a phenomenal season last year. And now entering his age 29 season.
No.
And a lot of career best numbers for Elvis Andrus last year. Hits, home runs, RBIs. On base plus slugging over 800. Had the 44 doubles.
That's back-to-back years for him where he went up over 800 on the OPS. He was there in 2016 right at the 800 mark. And so, when you see a guy start to spike, and this is supposed to be their prime, we say it all the time, 26 to 29 is kind of the prime for most guys. It doesn't always work out that way, but the bar has been raised now for Elvis Andrus. He spoiled us these last couple of years, but especially last year with his ability to drive the ball.
Well, DeShields running again, and he induces a bat throw into left field. And the Rangers will score the first run tonight. 2 stolen bases for DeShields, and he scores on the E2.
I think Drew Butera is just happy that Delano DeShields is off the bases. He did not make this first inning very easy on him at all, and it is the catcher that feels the pressure, especially if your pitcher's not quick to the plate. You have a fast runner, try to get that ball down there, and you see the good jump there from Delano DeShields, and you see how fast Butera comes out of his crouch, and actually probably had a decent shot maybe to get Delano DeShields, but he rushed that throw and he knew right away, threw it in the outfield.
1-2 to Andrus, and that one back up the middle. Fairly routine play at second for Torres, and there is one away.
We'll take one more look here at Delano DeShields and the stolen base and what he has done. You see the head first slide, avoiding some contact there, or trying to with Cuthbert, and just cruises home. And catchers will tell you all day long, blame the pitcher, stolen bases, and without a doubt, pitchers take on a lot of responsibility, but catchers try to be quicker, try to make up for pitchers that are slower, maybe aren't holding runners on very well. The speed that Delano DeShields has, these are the kind of results that you can get.
You see the numbers last year for Delano, and he had career highs in a handful of categories. And when he scored a run, the Rangers were at their best, and he has scored early here tonight.
Never want to be in a situation where you're putting a lot of pressure on just one player, or saying this one player has to have a good year in order for our entire offense to be successful. But in the case of Delano DeShields, to some degree, I do think that applies. What he does at the top of the order to go along with Chu and Andrus and Beltre is probably how the middle of this order is going to look for the Texas Rangers. He is a very vital part. He proved it last year that he could be counted on. He had a nice bounce back season, and the Rangers expect that to continue, and maybe even a little bit more.
Well, the veteran Adrian Beltre at the plate and smashes this one. That's very well struck out towards center field. Will get home at least one more run, as that one is tracked down nicely by Burns, but Chu able to tag, and it's 2-0 Rangers.
Quality at bats all the way around for the Texas Rangers here in the first inning, and Adrian Beltre continues that line. And first off the bat, I thought maybe a routine fly ball, but he put a nice charge in, and that's a very nice play by Burns. He kept looking up at the wall and trying to track it, and does a nice job just a couple of steps in front of the wall. And Shin-Soo Choo cruises home. Just really good at bats all the way around here by the Texas Rangers in the first.
Now the base is empty. 2 outs for Odor, who talking about good at bats this spring. Very different approach taken by Odor to this point. He's been much more patient. Hits this ball well out to center. Burns will have to take it off the fence, and Odor with a 2-out double.
What a fun inning this has been to watch so far from the Rangers. And you mentioned Odor and a little bit of a different approach. How is he going to try to improve on what he did a year ago? And part of that is being a little bit more selective and really understanding his strengths. So you see that ball go right off the wall, but a fastball that's up and away. Berto certainly digging had at bat in the result there for Odor, but he hammered that ball up, out, over the plate, and he attacked it.
Boy, back-to-back really well-hit balls by the Rangers, both of them just staying in, and now Chirinos turned off the plate. Oh, and here we go. That's a conversation that will come to a conclusion sometime late September, maybe October.
I thought Delino was going to step in and kind of be the arbiter there. You're going to have to settle something between those two. But yeah, you're right. It's never ending. And we assume, what, 9.5 times out of 10 that it's probably something they're joking about.
Yes.
But you never know. You never completely know. I got to believe at this time of year, probably having a little bit of fun. Maybe Elvis getting Adrian say, 5 years ago, that's probably a home run. Right? When you were a younger man, a little bit strong. Maybe. I'm just taking a guess. That's the kind of fun they have.
A 1-1 from Smith, and Chirinos lays off. 2-1 the count. Well, Chirinos goes into this 2018 season as the frontline catcher for this Rangers team. Last couple of years had to battle for some of the time, and he hits this ball well down the left field line, but that one a long strike. It's 2-2.
Well, there's so many good storylines from a year ago for the Rangers, especially in the lineup, but Robinson Chirinos is certainly one of those. As you see him here getting out in front of this pitch, just a little bit too much out front, but it was the power that we saw from him a year ago. 17 home runs, a career high for him. Taking advantage of that regular playing time, but he still hit those in only 88 games. It is amazing to think.
Oh, breaking ball, and got just underneath that one. And out in left field, Soler makes it the third out of the inning. But the Rangers pick a pair in their half of the first inning. Good start tonight here against the Royals.
Hi there, John Radigan in the Fox Sports Studios, and it's been an exciting and busy offseason.
Got this game started in the right way tonight. Coming around to score 2-0 Rangers as we go to the bottom of the first inning. And we'll take a look at the Kansas City Royals and Jesse Chavez getting the start tonight for the Rangers.
Yeah, this is a really good addition. I like this a lot for the Rangers. We talked about it in the open, the idea of a legitimate, true swingman, a guy who has been there and done that. It is not an easy role. Those guys that have to go back and forth, and we don't know, what's going to happen with Jesse to start the season, whether he'll be in the rotation or be in the bullpen. But certainly a guy that brings a lot of value, veteran experience. This year will be his 11th spend in the big leagues. You see what he did last year, 21 starts with 38 games pitched.
I think it's started off with a strike here tonight.
The overall numbers from last year, we saw him a little bit with the Angels.
It's a chopper, first base side, and Trevor Plouffe had to get there himself. Nicely done. Now, Billy Burns gets down the line a little bit, too.
He does, and this is that play that you practice in spring training so often, almost to the point where pitchers get tired of it. And you see Chavez a little bit. It looked like he thought that he was not going to get it. I'm not sure if he didn't think he was going to get there in time or exactly what happened, but luckily he got the tag. Look at the flip here. You're going to see it from Plouffe, and then look at Jesse Chavez realizing he was not going to beat Burns to the bag, so he had to tag him, and he gets that tag in there just in time.
So Chavez comes right back now to Tyler Collins. Well, spring training for everybody. Plouffe. What's that little exchange there to
Well, the other
Chavez.
part of that, too, is you think about how often, how many reps is Trevor Plouffe taking at first right now during spring training, right? I mean, he's, certainly can play multiple positions, but it may not have been a ton over there. And I don't think he did anything wrong necessarily. He just had to wait. Jesse was a little bit late getting over there and trying to get that flip right. It is not easy. A lot of people say, oh, yeah, just, take this guy and put him over first base. It's a much more difficult defensive position, I think, than most people realize. And there are a lot of little things like that flip. Picking balls not as easy as it looks. Joey Gallo made the conversion to first base. Looked pretty easy last year. It is not that easy.
2-1, and Plouffe with a little backhand stop again finds Chavez. 2 up, 2 down. Plouffe, one of those guys you mentioned, he play all over the diamond, and Darwin Barney, another offseason acquisition by the Rangers, a guy with a lot of versatility. Second, short, third, left field. Has a Gold Glove on his resume as well. So Rangers finding a couple of guys with good track records and with that great flexibility that they may very well need, because they might go with a shorter bench this year.
It becomes more and more important, I think, every year as we dig deeper and we watch the game change a little bit. We're talking about it with the pitching side, but absolutely on the defensive side, and it just gives you a better chance at making a roster. You talk about a non-roster invitee. You got to come in, you got to have a good camp, you got to show that you can do some things, fill a need. And you're right, if they go with the shorter bench, there's a comfort level there for Jeff Bannister, knowing that he's got a couple of guys there that can play multiple positions. Drew Robinson certainly falls under that as well. That's why they like his flexibility. It's nothing but an asset.
So Lair gets a piece. Count 0-2 on the Royals left fielder tonight. So Lair, a big piece of the Wade Davis deal prior to last season with the Chicago Cubs, and a lot of very high expectations for him as he goes down swinging, and Jesse Chavez offers a 1-2-3 bottom of the first. Rangers with the early lead.
Today's Royals.
Evening here in the Sonoran Desert. The Texas Rangers really excited about a new grant program. They want to help renovate and refurbish youth baseball and softball complexes, provide new equipment with the Globe Life Texas Rangers baseball and softball grant program. Eligible organizations in Texas, Oklahoma, New Mexico, Arkansas, and Louisiana can apply at texasrangers.com/grants, and applications are due by June 30th. But really an exciting program and a great opportunity to get a little help for some of those fields and help promote the game of baseball with the kids. Bert Smith out for a second inning and goes 1-1 on Drew Robinson.
He'll have to show Ned Yost here something, bouncing back after the Rangers put together a bunch of really good at-bats against Smith in the first.
Robinson loops that one out there to center field, drops right in for him, and Drew has a base hit here to start the second inning.
It's a good job by Drew Robinson, the off-speed pitch, and there was some good differential on the speed. You see it right there. A little breaking ball. Good balance, staying back and doing just enough to get that ball in the outfield for a base hit. You can pick a handful of guys, I think, in your average spring training where spring training really matters, results matter, got to show something. I think you can put Drew Robinson in that category. For him to have a good spring.
Plouffe lifts this one out towards center field, and Burns with plenty of room out there. One away. Robinson with the tag, and he moves up to second base. Excellent hustle. One away, but a man in scoring position now. And so here's Christian Lopes. Lopes today getting the start at second base, batting ninth. Signed as a minor league free agent in December. It's his first year in the Rangers organization. He spent his entire career in the Blue Jays organization, originally a 7th-round pick by Toronto back in 2011. And another guy with a lot of versatility. 1-1 on Lopes. So this is 7th pro season. Still looking for that cup of coffee. Good contact hitter. Does not strike out a lot. Puts it in play, but also work a count, draws some walks.
He's done a nice job last year. That on-base percentage in Buffalo, .349. The year before, most of that season was spent in AA, .357. The on-base percentage, and certainly something that matters that teams look for. The strikeout, yes, is more accepted. We talked about that a lot last year. I'm sure we will continue to see. I would guess those numbers would climb. We saw 40,000 of them last year. First time that's the most we've ever seen in our game. Go along with those better than 6,000 home runs, also a major league record.
2-1. That breaking ball not getting it done so far tonight for Smith. At some point, though, you're going to reach peak strikeout or peak home run. I mean, you can't just continue to go. And there's ball 4. Lopes takes the walk. So that's what we're talking about. A guy who can be selective. And now 2-men aboard as we turn the lineup over to Shields. We'll get his second shot. Nice job in the first inning.
Great job taking a ball to right field on the ground. And, of course, using the legs, putting some pressure on Drew Butera, who could not handle the pitch from Smith. And then doing it again as he steals third. That ball thrown into the outfield. And it is fun to watch. Listen, 6,000 home runs are cool. But that is a lot of fun. That is a little bit of old school baseball, quality baseball. Delano DeShields showing off all those offensive tools in the first.
Well, he's got Robinson at second, Lopes at first, and here comes the bunt, and that one dropped. Looked like Smith had a play on it, and then he throws it away. So Robinson scores. Lopes will round third. He scores. And now heading to third to Shields, and they got him. Wow. Well, 2 runs come in on the bunt. But Delano maybe just looking for a little too much.
Got a little greedy, but that's okay. That's spring training. You take some extra chances there. Well, should be probably 2 errors, I got to believe, maybe potentially on the pitcher. Here's the bunt. There's an error there, I think, and then maybe another. I don't know if they're going to give him 2 or not, but nevertheless, I got to believe the Royals might be doing a little bit of extra PFP, pitchers fielding practice. Again tomorrow, it is a spring training staple. Essentially, the Rangers were trying to give him an out, and eventually they got it, but not before both of those runners scored.
Delano was arguing with our base umpire there that the tag actually hit his helmet, which at that point was loose. It was on its own trajectory, and that he didn't actually tag Delano. And I think looking at that replay, he probably had a pretty good argument.
He may have. Fortunately, no instant replay in spring training. And no, I don't think anybody's complaining about that.
Ball and 2 strikes on Shin-Soo Choo. Well, that speed, going back to what you were talking about, it just creates an entirely different element in the game. Especially when you get so used to the sitting back waiting for the strike out of the home run. I think for defenses, it can be a rude awakening to have to deal with somebody like that.
Without a doubt. And the speed game has certainly started to disappear. Baseball, right? Stolen bases, of course, are way down. It's not what they used to. And it's more about so much that players aren't fast, but more about what makes sense as far as risk, right? And teams run those numbers, and they don't want to run into outs.
Well, Choo with another good at bat draws his second walk of the night.
So what kind of official scoring? Did we get an official scoring?
Well, it was a fielder's choice.
All right. Because originally it looked like he could have caught that ball in the air.
Correct.
And that's why Drew Robinson was kind of stuck in the middle as far as what he was going to do. And then once it was dropped,
then the error.
That's where the first. So they didn't give him an error on dropping the ball.
No.
Too tough of a play.
Too tough of a play.
This is what we're saying here. All right.
And then it's a 7-2 to 5. Left field catcher third to get to Shields.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
7-2 to 5. It's important. It's very important to have your scorebook accurate and up to date in spring training games.
E1725.
Correct. Ball and a strike on Elvis Andrus.
Smith, we did not mention, was a Rule 5 pick, actually originally by the Mets and then traded to the Kansas City Royals. So he is in that spot where if the Royals wanted to keep him in the big leagues all year long. A lot of times teams will use that Rule 5 pick to get an extended look at a guy in spring training, kind of make a decision from there. If they like the player but necessarily don't feel like they want to put him in the big leagues, they'll try to work out a trade. His original team. It's a great opportunity for young players. Ones that may have a hard time breaking through, they're not protected on the 40-man roster, and all of a sudden a team picks you up in that Rule 5 draft. It runs you through camp because you're always going to get an extended look. Always going to dig in. They're going to give you innings. They're going to give you at-bats against the best in the game. Let's see what you're made of.
Well, Andrews strikes out swinging, but the Rangers tack on 2 more in their second inning and off to a real fast start tonight.
Save big during the
Very good start for the Rangers tonight. And we're mentioning last inning, the great initiative, the Globe Life Texas Rangers baseball and softball grant program. And again, if you're an eligible organization in Texas, Oklahoma, New Mexico, Arkansas, or Louisiana, just go to texasrangers.com/grants and get those applications in by the end of June. Help refurbish some of those youth league fields and get some refurbished and new equipment to the kids as well. And here we go now in the bottom of the second inning. Jesse Chavez very sharp in his first, dealing now with tonight's cleanup man, Lucas Duda. One and two the count.
So it's actually Ryan O'Hearn was a late substitution for Lucas Duda. He's doing his best Lucas Duda impression. Big man from the left side. You got the original scorecard.
Here we go back to the
Spring
accurate scorebooks. Very critical. There's a 4-3 put out. Take care of O'Hearn. So what happened to Duda?
They didn't. I asked. Nothing official. There's no, but he was scratched, so not exactly sure why. Yes. Spring training for everybody.
All over the map. All right, one away, and here is Cuthbert. So Chavez continuing to look very good. And today, Jeff Bannister was asked a lot of questions about the rotation and its ongoing evolution, because there was a lot of talk about a six-man rotation. That seems to have quieted. This ball lifted well out there to right field, and Chu back to the fence, able to track it down.
Nice play by Chu. This could be a little bit of a tough time at night as we start to get a little bit closer to dusk, and the ball gets up there. He's got to deal with the wall as well. Did a nice job of getting back there, finding it, reaching at the end. Very nice play. You guys are ready.
Well,
any way to fast forward to
let's go.
March 29th?
Couple weeks. Let's move it ahead. Two gone, and there is Eric Mejia who takes a strike.
We got a Delano DeShields ground ball base hit. We got stolen bases. We got 2 Chu walks. No Joey Gallo in the lineup tonight. He played in the earlier game, so we're missing the Gallo bomb. Other than that,
we just got another perfect inning from Chavez. So 2 very sharp frames by the right-hander. We go to the third. We move it along to the third inning tonight, and a little reminder, you can get a little more baseball for your buck this time of year with a full or half-season ticket plan. You lock in the best prices and the best seating locations and enjoy all the exclusive perks that go with that.
Also, should be noted, season ticket holders for 2018 may select their seats this summer for the new Globe Life Field opening in 2020. Just go to TexasRangers.com/seasons today. All right, so here we go to the third inning, and we welcome in the skipper, Jeff Bannister, joining us here today down in front of the dugout. This is always the most exciting time of year when we watch a guy do our job and manage at the same time.
How we doing?
Well, good. How you doing?
Doing all right.
Well, nice start.
My favorite part was last year watching Banny give signs while he continued to talk.
Well, we might get lucky and get some guys on base to do that again. You never know.
Well, it was a really good first inning, and it really felt like almost kind of mid-season form. Delino DeShields, now we know, will be your leadoff hitter and playing center field, and maybe one of the few guys in the game that you'd like to see hit the ball on the ground, right? As much as you talk about fly balls, Delino does exactly what I believe you're expecting from him.
Absolutely. No, with the trend in baseball to hit everything in the air, for a guy to put it on the ground and run really fast and be really good at it is exceptional for us, and we like it, and we like that he's on our team, and you see what he's done in 2 innings, really, creating runs for us.
Yeah, he brings a whole different feel to the ball game. And you were mentioning something, I think it was yesterday, you talked about when he gets on base multiple times in a game, what a difference that made for your club last year. I mean, we have some of the breakdowns, you know, when he scores a run, your winning percentage is off the charts. When he gets on simply a couple times a game, it's a big difference.
It's a huge difference, and I don't know that it was just last year. I think it's as long as we've had Delino in the lineup for us. And no, get back.
How many times do you say that to yourself in a season?
Well, a lot, by the way, especially when it comes to Adrian. But you know, it's as much as we can keep him on the field, the better. But you know, in Delino's case, since he's been with us, we Rule 5'd him, and as he continued to play for us, and we saw the dynamic of, and it really plays out well for us. At least 2 times on base in any given night. I think our win percentage goes to about 72%.
And do you notice a difference for a guy like him where, you know, and correct me if I'm wrong, but he had a little something to prove last spring training and maybe even early on in the season compared to he made his statement last year. He kind of knows where he stands, at least coming into camp. Was there a difference that you're seeing from him maybe from this year to last?
Absolutely. A lot more confident. His work has been you know, diligent in the case of getting himself ready for the season, of what he is going to have to do to help us win, to get better at playing defense, how he maneuvers in center field, how he's going to take control in the outfield. But we saw it tonight, the ability to swing the bat to get on base and bunt a baseball to get on base as well. He's cognizant of all those things, and he's been working diligently and really hard.
Odor won't quite get that one squared up, but as long as we're talking about guys working on things at spring training, Danny, Rookie has really shown a much different approach this year.
Yes, he has. He's come in with the mindset of one pitch, one zone mentality early here in spring training, seeing some pitches and still trying to stay aggressive in his zone. Look, this is a guy that we love when he swings a bat for us, but it's swinging the bat at pitches that he can drive, and what he did in the first there for us. And talked about he's been a little bit late in some of the swings, just a tick off. And one of the things I told him before he went up to the batter's box, I know the hitting coaches in Mayshore and I Post have been working really hard for him to get that foot down and get the barrel to the baseball, and that's what he did. And when he does that in his zone, he's pretty special.
Yeah, it's interesting. You talk about one pitch, one zone.
Another base hit.
Get that base hit, but listen, people are going to say I'm crazy, and maybe I am a little bit, but I think about Bryce Harper when I think about that conversation, and fill in the gaps here a little bit, because Bryce Harper was a really good player, and then he took it to a whole nother level when he won his MVP a couple of years ago, and the conversation was he almost, and this is not a bad thing, but had the ego to believe that he could hit almost any pitch and hit it hard. And once he started to realize really what his strength was, he could let some strikes go by and do it with confidence, and then he just took off. Is that kind of fair? And listen, Rudy Odor's already done some great things in this game, but almost like saying you don't have to hit every pitch. Know the one that you're really great at hitting and only focus on that. Is that where we're going with this conversation?
Absolutely. Listen, sometimes you got to be humbled a little bit to get to that point. And what makes these guys so great they're great athletes to begin with, but their mindset is that they've been the best along the way everywhere they've been, and they've been able to do these types of things. And Rugi comes up to the big leagues as a young player out of AA baseball. He failed just a little bit early on in 2015. Came back and was exceptional for us. 2016 he had a huge year for us. But these guys begin to believe that they can do just about anything, and until they're proven wrong, they're going to keep thinking that way, especially when they've had success. And what needs to happen sometimes is a little humility that goes along with this, and they get humbled, they get put back into place, and then they're a little more open and susceptible to and that's what we call coaching moments.
So, Skipper, you've got, you don't have a lot of question marks when you look out into the infield behind home plate. Most of your outfield, you do have the battle in left field. What is it that will be the tipping point in your mind in that battle?
Well, listen, whether we go with a platoon type situation or we feel like there's one player that can play every day for us out there, and what that player brings. And so right now we've got a few guys in the mix, and really with Rua and Robinson, two multi-talented guys that one's right-handed, one's left-handed. They've kind of shown some promise, the ability to bounce around, but also create some matchup success for us. And then you have a guy like Willie Calhoun, who is young, has proven that he can really swing the baseball bat, but needs a lot of reps in the outfield. He's got to get better defensively. This is a two-way sport. You got to be able to play defense along with that offense. So, and then again, we've got some guys that, if we choose to go down the route with Profar out there in the utility type situation, or there's been some guys that have shown very well in camp that this Destin Hood, who continues just to impress every time he goes out.
It's nice to have options, isn't it?
It's great to have options. It's great to have good options. That's the difference.
Well, we don't. Yeah, I got bad news for you. We don't actually have to take a commercial break, so we're going to bother you for one more year. I know you're used to the routine and last out we hang it up, but it's spring training, so we get to talk extra, which I'm sure you're thrilled about. but I do have one last one for you, because there's so many different things going on. And watching Jesse Chavez tonight, I know you know him from back in the day with Pittsburgh, and certainly all those years of competing against you. Looks pretty sharp tonight. The conversation of spring training results and really trying to make your evaluations, because spring training can fool you once in a while, as can September, is kind of the old saying goes. What do you like what you've seen from him so far? And we're not going to put you in a corner and tell you what his role is going to be, but I got to believe you're pretty happy with what you're seeing.
Really happy with what we've seen from Jesse, and as a guy that has history, and we've seen a number of times that I've seen on the same team with, and then an opposing team, and you watch a guy say, okay, what are you looking at? We were looking at the velo, looking at how he's making his pitches. Is he hitting his spots? Is that down and away fastball a pitch for him? Is his breaking ball, he's getting it in for a strike, or is he getting a swing and miss and being able to expand off the plate with it? And then is he running the sinker in and down where he wants to? Checking all those marks, and then he does have that four-seam fastball hop at the top of the zone that he can get by hitters. But more than anything else is, does he get quick outs? Is he hitting his spots? And do we see the velo and all of his pitches stay the same throughout the workload of the day? And so he's been a bright spot for us, a guy that we looked at as kind of one of those swing type roles, that +1 type role, and he's performed very well this spring for us.
Well, it's really encouraging, a number of encouraging signs early on, Skipper. Thanks so much for taking a little extra time with us today.
Anytime, guys. Thank you very much.
All right, there he goes. Jeff Bannister.
Pay rate's the same, by the way. You really work during commercial breaks, just so you know.
That's real nice. Well, it has been, obviously, tonight's performance by Chavez, certainly a convincing one. But, the conversation continues every day with regard to the rotation and how it's going to set up. 6-man, probably not. 5-man +1, and the +1 being a guy who can, fill both roles, maybe start for you 2-3 times in a row, go long relief for you for a while when you don't need that extra guy. And having Chavez, who has done that that very role often is a big deal. Because it's one thing to be, we can name a number of pitchers over the years who have had a career as a starter, had a career as a reliever, but there are a few who blend the two all the time, as Chavez has.
It's one of the most difficult things to do in the game. This is a reliever, you get into a certain routine. As a starter, you get into a certain routine. And they contrast each other quite a bit, as you're going to see Jesse Chavez rear back here and blow a fastball right by Torres. Sorry about that. I'm looking at the wrong side. But here is the group of pitchers that we're talking about. But the ability to do that, Lincecum is another guy that could fall into that category, brings a ton of value. And we'll see whether or not he gets some starts or not. But you got a lot of veterans there in that group. The idea of Jesse Chavez having done it, comfortable doing it, open to doing it, that's the other thing, because some guys want to get so locked into their role, and you ask them to do something that is difficult or uncomfortable. They worry about, what does that do to my career? Am I risking putting together a bad year, and then I'm going to find myself signing minor league deals and trying to fight for roster spots where I know if I can go in the bullpen, just give me my 60 games, I'll put up some pretty decent numbers for you. You got to be open to it. It's just a very difficult thing to do. A lot of times we don't put a lot of thought into it as far as what these guys are doing when they're not pitching. That is a really tough job.
2-1 the count here, and Chavez, of course, he was originally drafted by the Rangers. He was a draft and follow back in the day, back when there was such an animal. Followed him after that 2002 draft, signed him in 03. Spent his first 3.5 years in the Rangers organization. He has bounced around a little bit. He went with 7 different major league teams in the last 10 years. But I think part of that speaks to the value in this skill set that he does bring.
What's so great about his story, and there are still a few of these guys around, he was drafted in a round that no longer exists. 42nd round draft pick. The draft only goes 40 rounds. It used to be unlimited, then they capped it at 50.
Gets a fly ball out to right field, and Chu with some room back there. Welcome to the bullpen. 2 away.
But I love those stories, and you see it right there. Kind of his track record. I was actually with him when he got traded to the Pittsburgh Pirates. It was Kip Wells. The deal was made for, and came over to AAA Indianapolis. And there's an old lefty trying to hang on, keep my career going. He was young. It's great to see the career, the lengthy career that he has had, and he's not done.
Now Drew Butera swings and misses at a strike. So Chavez retired the first 8 men he has faced tonight. Goes 1-1 here on Butera.
And it's a deep repertoire too. That's the other thing. And he's a guy, obviously, you don't pitch into your 30s. You don't pitch this long unless you know what you're doing, unless you're smart. Develop that repertoire to be a good pitcher in the big leagues, and he has been.
Well, another veteran bails him out right there. Adrian Beltre with a nice stop down at third base, and it's another 1-2-3 for Chavez. Rangers up early. so far as we move it along to the 4th inning tonight, and already talking about opening day. And if you're still looking for tickets to opening day, well, guess what? It's included in the 10-game plan, offering free opening day tickets. 6 different plans available, starting at just $190. Go to TexasRangers.com/10-game plans to buy your plan today. The sale ends March 19th, which is about a week.
The 19th? That is exactly a week. Opening day, 17 days away.
Is that right?
That is right.
Rick Chavez. Yeah, that
Handshakes. Thanks for catching that ball. That last one.
29 pitches.
Is that all?
Yeah. Now, so here's the question, right? I mean, this happens all the time, right? And Manny warned us about this morning. Said, look, Chavez, he could be up to 65 pitches, but I don't know that you're going to see all those in the game, right? We're a little backed up. We got to get some guys in. But guys would normally then go out to the bullpen and throw, but that didn't look like the way he was wrapped up. Bouncer to the right side, and there is a base hit to start the 4th inning.
Well, he may. We'll see. But you're probably right based on what we have seen so far. We'll tell you this. Yes, the pitch count was pretty incredible for 3 innings as Chavez kind of gathers his stuff. So we'll see whether or not he goes down to the bullpen to throw a little bit more. But as you get older, those are bullets you kind of save, right? Because don't forget, of course, he warmed up before the game. Full routine as a starter. It's 3 innings worth of work, right? That's another 7 to 8 pitches in between each inning. So you got the up and down that you're looking for. The pitch count doesn't always tell the complete story. Now, would he like to go down there and throw 20 or 30 more? Maybe. Or if he feels like his arm has had enough and he got the workout that he needed, then you go ahead and shut it down. Everyone's different. I'd say when you're younger and you haven't been hurt, you get down there and throw probably 30 more. You probably need to do it. But as you get a little bit older, you get a little wiser, at least some of us.
You're including yourself as one who is grown wiser?
I'll leave it up for debate. I'll let you decide.
That was a good debate. There's a strike to DeShields. 1-1 the count. Trevor Oakes, who came in last inning after 2 innings to start this one tonight for Birch Smith. So they went from Birch to Oakes. Let's see what else they have up their sleeves tonight.
Do you know any other trees?
Spruce?
John Maple in the bullpen.
There you go. 1-2 to DeShields. Real nice start to this one tonight for Delino. Base hit in the 1st inning. Couple of stolen bases. Got the uniform dirty right out of the gate. Oakes, big guy, 6'3", 225, 25 years old, and he gets one chopped down to 3rd base. So get the out at 2nd on Lopes, but no way to catch DeShields, so it's just a fielder's choice, 1 away.
It's going to be pretty difficult to double up Delino DeShields, and especially when you get this little soft chopper right here, even though the 3rd baseman is in a little bit and give it their best effort, but you're not going to double that man up, not on that ground ball. Mentioned Oakes being a big guy. Was over on the minor league side today watching Martin Perez throw through a few innings today. 69 pitches for him as he's working his way back from that right elbow injury. It looked pretty sharp. The pitch count where he wanted it to. But I was in absolute awe walking around and feeling like everybody was 5 to 8 inches taller than me. I'm 6'3" on a good day when I'm standing up straight. These guys all looked humongous to me. I said, what happened to baseball players? I was talking to a couple scouts. I said, is it just me? Like, you've been covering this game for a long time. Has everyone gotten bigger over time? He said, absolutely. He said, the training that these guys are doing right now and how the game has changed over the years, it's incredible to see the size of these guys, velocities.
Hard hit ball to right field for Chu. So a couple of walks, a base hit. DeShields off and running. He'll get to 3rd. The Rangers have him cornered here in the 4th inning. So that was always the great appeal of this game, right? Anybody, any size, any shape. But more and more, I'm with you. I mean, these guys, absolute monsters.
Good job here by Chu to get around that pitch, and an absolute no-brainer that Delano DeShields was going to get to third base easily. That's the advantage, too. You have Delano on first. Of course, that opens up the right side of the infield. And you put Chu behind him in the batting order, an opportunity to pull some ground balls through the hole. That's exactly what we saw.
So now Andrews.
Now, there's still a couple of little guys out there. MVP last year in the American League.
Oh, for sure. There's no doubt. I mean, there's still room for the other guy in this sport. We talked about sizes and shapes. You look at like a guy like Bartolo Colon and Tim Lincecum. You probably can't get a whole lot different than those two.
Nope. Marcus Stroman, a good example, and it's always something that he seems somewhat proud of, right? He always has it on his hat. Height doesn't measure. Heart listed at 5'8".
What a boy.
It can happen, but scouts will tell you they're going to take your chances on two guys that are throwing the exact same fastball, same breaking ball, and one of them's 6'4" and one of them's 5'9". Probably going to roll with the guy that's 6'4".
Oaks set in the 0-2. Andrews off the handle out into right field, drops in, base hit. DeShields scores. Chu will stop at second, and it's 5-0 Rangers.
Much last year did we talk about how important the home run was to the Texas Rangers offense, but here they are, 5 runs across and doing it this way. Some base hits, stolen bases, some walks. Still with the 1 extra base hit so far, right? The Rudin Odor double. It's something you want to look for, I think, with this team is their ability to score runs when they're not driving the ball out of the ballpark. We know they can hit home runs. We know Joey Gallo is going to mash. We know Nomar Mazara is going to mash. We know Rudin Odor is going to hit his home runs. Finding other ways to score is really important for this lineup. You start talking about trying to go from your 78 wins to knocking on the door at 90 or whatever it may be. The offense has to be a little bit more complete more often. Of course, the pitching matters as well, but that's a big key, and they're showing it so far tonight.
Well, Beltre had the sac fly in the first inning, then singled to lead off the third. You see on that note right there, last year, injuries to both calves and limited him to just 94 games. Just the second time in his career he played fewer than 100 games in a season. The other was his rookie season with the Dodgers all the way back in 1998. A big key for this team, this offense too, will just simply be Beltre's presence in that lineup. 1 and 2 the count. But to your point, you go back, last year this team hit a lot of home runs. They had some holes in the lineup. The strikeouts certainly hurt some rallies and some potential scoring opportunities. You go the year prior, though, in 2016, and that team was as adept as any at getting runs in and finding ways and playing great team baseball and still hitting the home run. So you have to give that piece of it up. Beltre strikes out for the second out of the inning.
No, you certainly don't. I think in today's game, of course, we talk about home runs so much and how many were hit, as you see what the Rangers did a year ago and where they ranked, and they still did a really nice job of scoring runs, but you see the home runs there. Stolen bases were a big part of this offense last year. Batting average down a little bit. Just look at them in the American League, 13th out of the 15 teams, but definitely some good things happened last year. They can expect that to continue and maybe even build on it a little bit this year.
Well, that'll do it for Oaks. Third pitcher coming on for the Royals in a moment. a little deeper into this Royals bullpen. It's all right, little fella. Good news for you, kids. Opening night this year. It features post-game fireworks, and it's the first show of the season. That's going to be Friday, March 30th. Rangers and the Astros opening day on Thursday, but Friday, the first night game, and kids opening night for 7,500 kids 13 and under. We'll get a Rangers players calendar courtesy of Denny's. Stick around for the post-game fireworks presented by TXU Energy. Go to TexasRangers.com or call 972-RANGERS. It's going to be all right. 2 men on, 2 out here. A run across in this 4th inning. Eric Stout is the new pitcher.
You may wonder, why do we see this in the 4th inning, right middle of the inning? Pitching changes, but for a guy like Stout here at camp, you see his numbers from a year ago, but a guy that has put up some terrific numbers against lefties. 193 batting average last year, 181 2 years ago, and so Ned Yost is going to give him an opportunity to face a good left-handed hitter in Rougned Odor. And whenever they want to get a look at a guy, it's one thing, you know, go give him an inning. It's okay, you're going to pitch this inning, but if there's no lefties that are coming up, if that's the role that you see, you kind of wait and you try to pick your spots. And the minor leaguer gets to go out there and try to face Rougned Odor in a spring training game and impress the big league manager.
1-2 the count. There's Ned Yost on the left. 629 wins in his 8 years as the skipper of the Royals. A couple of American League championships, a World Series trophy. The winningest manager in Royals history. Stays 1-2. I don't know why that one, when I came across that little tidbit
jumped out at you
this offseason, I thought, wow, really?
They certainly put together a nice run. And they had to go through those early years of rebuilding, which were difficult on Ned Yost and the Royals. Dayton Moore did an excellent job. Got themselves to a World Series in 14, then won the World Series in 2015. Yeah, but I'm with you. That jumps out a little bit. Think about
Whitey Herzog is the name that just jumps to mind. High fly out there into right field. Not going to get it done. Collins gets there underneath it, and the inning is over. Rangers will settle for one more. And we're going to the bottom of the 4th inning. 5-0 Texas. Well, 5-0 Rangers on top here as we go to the bottom of the 4th inning. You know, CJ, when you combine the most provocative man in sports with the most interesting man in sports, well, you get opinion that cuts through the hype. Catch Speak for Yourself with Colin Cowherd and Jason Whitlock weekdays 4 Central, only on FS1. That's exactly what it said on the card.
Yeah.
Here's Jake Diekman on a relief for Chavez.
See those numbers there. Of course, last year, Jake missing a significant amount of time, but another reason to be excited about 2018 and the idea of a full season of Jake Diekman. We know, of course, the bullpen had their struggles at times. getting him back is certainly exciting news for Jeff Bannister. A little easier. We were talking earlier about options and trying to build your roster. Well, options in your bullpen. This kind of left-handed arm, so rare.
First pitch gets a hard ground ball, and one pitch results in a 1 out. That's how you like to get it done right there.
Got to imagine too for Jake, full off season, going to be able to train. Last year, of course, was unable to do that. It's got to be exciting.
I mean, the other thing is just physically this year for him. You know, last year with the 3 surgeries, his weight got down to 181 pounds at one point last season. By year's end, he got it up to just a little above 200. Came into camp at 221 pounds.
Wow.
That's a 40-pound swing from the low point last summer. I mean, he's bigger, stronger, healthier. He was throwing 94 right at the start of camp. I think maybe dial it back a little bit these last couple of times. I mean, typically early in camp, he had been a high 80s, maybe 90-mile-per-hour guy, but he came out firing this year.
Well, it's not surprising, right? It doesn't matter how old you get, how long you play this game. Whenever it's taken away from you for any period of time, when you get back out there, you realize how much you love it, how fortunate you are to be out there. And it is difficult, even for a guy like Jake, who we know his status on the team. We know how important he's going to be in the bullpen. Spring training adrenaline is not quite regular season adrenaline, but I think in his case, a little bit. There's definitely a little bit of that for him, the excitement, being healthy again, and the idea of going out there and pitching around 70 games.
He goes 2-2 to Tyler Collins. Did not take the bait on that slider. Collins grounded out of the first inning. He's 0 for 1. Royals haven't had a base runner yet tonight. Jesse Chavez, 3 perfect innings, a couple of strikeouts, needed just 29 pitches to get through his work tonight. 3-2. Old tapper right back to Diekman. There's plenty of time. Throws a strike, and they're 2 away. I say he had plenty of time. That was a little bit closer than I think anybody wanted.
I thought he had plenty of time, too. Tyler Collins, the guy wants to make an impression in camp, running out everything hard. He thought maybe he had a chance. Head down, just takes off. That ball died a little bit more maybe than Jake was expecting. He saw him look in the glove a little bit, make sure he had a good grip. Fortunately, no replays.
2 gone. Trevor Plouffe has had a lot of excitement over there at first base tonight. Here is Soler, and he takes one up and away. Soler struck out in the first inning. He's having a nice camp, though. Look at those numbers. 4 home runs.
We know he has the power. The question with Soler is his ability to put the ball in play consistently. Big, strong right-handed bat. I was going to say, we were talking about last inning with Stout coming in to face Odor. You can contrive that lefty-lefty matchup a little bit. What you can't do defensively for a guy like Trevor Plouffe when you put him at first base. Now, he's played in the big leagues 40 or so games at first base, but Jeff Bannister wants to get a look, and you don't get to pick where guys hit the ball during the game. So he has got himself a nice look to see what can Trevor do over there at first base, and he's done a good job. Already has had a lot of action. He's a veteran guy, and certainly plenty of scouting reports about him, but there's nothing like seeing a guy firsthand, right? When you got a guy that's competing for a spot, you can read reports all day long. Everyone can have opinions. For the manager and general manager, they want to see as much as they possibly can in person on the field.
Another little tapper back to the mound. Diekman with all kinds of time, and the little shot put to first takes care of Soler, and another 3 up, 3 down. We go to the 5th inning tonight. Rangers with a 5-0 lead. inning. And the Rangers with that 5-0 lead. A lot of kids out tonight all over the metropolitan area here at all these spring training games. It's awesome scene. Another awesome scene, though, by the way, has been the ongoing construction of new Globe Life Field. And you can see they have made incredible progress very rapidly. It was really fun during Fan Fest this year to get a look over the over the right field wall and see what's going on. But that thing has taken shape and in a hurry.
It's exciting to see. I mean, we got to be patient. Still got a couple more years to go, but you're right. You start seeing that, you start getting a feel for where things are going to be, what it feels going to be, all of that. The excitement is real. The plans are really incredible. I mean, it is going to be awesome. What has happened just around the league in general with stadiums, and not just the stadium, but everything else that's available to you, all the infrastructure around it, restaurants and everything else. It's going to be beautiful. And maybe nothing more important than the roof. That's going to be pretty exciting.
That would be very nice. Chirinos takes a strike from Almonte, 1-1. I think that's right. That's the great thing about it. You have to have the roof. It's a beautiful day. Just leave it off. Borderline strike to Chirinos. These are the 1 and 2. Robinson with a hit tonight, 2 tries. And he comes up empty. Strikeout for Miguel Almonte. Oh, there's Chavez, so he is getting that extra work.
Now that's interesting as for, to me, that the amount of time that passed by a little bit as well. A lot of times guys will try to get that in right away when their body is warm. Maybe Jesse wanted to simulate the inning, right? Give it a little bit more time. And then the other part of it, too, when you're doing that kind of work, is sometimes you want to give the reliever that you know is going in the game, let him have the mound. Even though there's a couple of mounds out there, sometimes you want to let that guy have that mound by himself as he gets ready.
But there could be a reason why he gave a little extra time, too, just to simulate a like a long offensive inning or something like that.
And it's a smart move, without a doubt, because that is something that becomes more and more difficult as you get older, as your body cools down. You love when your team's scoring runs. There's a part of you, especially when you're in a groove, that you kind of want to be back out there as well. So it's a smart play.
A lot of pressure taking a perfect game out to the pen line, too.
The good news is I really like his chances of
he's going to complete this one?
Yeah.
Wow. Stay tuned.
I mean, I've walked a couple guys in the pen, but never given up any big hits.
2-2 to Robinson, who has a base hit and a run scored tonight. I'm talking with Jeff Bannister earlier tonight about the flexibility of a guy like Robinson, who's among those candidates for the left field spot. He strikes out here 2-away. Miguel Almonte, very sharp out of the bullpen. Robinson in that mix along with Ryan Rua, very similar to last year, and Willie Calhoun.
And you see those numbers there combined from both the big leagues and the minor leagues last year, AAA. For all three of those guys that spent a little bit of time, some more than others. Now, last year we were sitting kind of in the same position, right, with the Rangers trying to figure out what they were going to do in left field. Ultimately, they said it would be a 3-man platoon, and then Jurickson Profar got the most extended look early on. And I think for Jeff Bannister, as much as we talk about flexibility and trying to play matchups and all the trends that are going on in the game, there is something to be said for feeling confident in having one guy out there or a guy taking the bulk of the innings out in left field, regardless whether it's going to be a left-handed or right-handed pitcher. But they'll do what they have to do, whatever is the best fit to help this club win. And spring training will be used to decide that.
Of course, Profar last year had the first 20 games out there, and it just did not go well. And it was DeShields who was coming off of just an incredible spring training. I think it was like 14 for 14 in stolen bases, hitting for a high average, driving the ball, doing everything you could have possibly done right. And even then, when they decided that they were done with profile in left field on an everyday basis, it went to Ryan Rua briefly. This ball hit well down the left field line and foul. 2-2 on Plouffe.
I think it's a good testament to Delino DeShields, because it would be easy to get discouraged in that situation, right? You go out, great year a couple of years ago, the greatest year in 16, but then comes back, great spring training, but doesn't get the starting job to start it off, right? And it's easy to kind of take that woe is me attitude, and I feel like I deserved it. He had a fight to get that regular playing time. He absolutely earned it last year.
Well, right by Cuthbert and into left field, a base hit for Plouffe.
And it is easier said than done when you say things like, well, be patient, your time will come. And you feel like, man, I feel like I've done it. See Almonte flinching there. You see that ball? I mean, that ball was pulled to left, and that's what that sound of the bat will do to a pitcher once in a while. That ball was smoked.
And so now Almonte will go to work against Christian Lopes. Walking a base hit so far.
Bet Almonte last year, up and down 5 times with the Royals, but he made just 2 appearances. Up and down, up and down. The off-speed stuff looks pretty good. The 2 swings and misses that he got for strikeouts against Chirinos and Robinson. Some slider right there looked really sharp.
He's a couple of weeks away from turning 25. 6'2", 210 pounds, out of the Dominican. Pitched to 9 games in 2015 with the Royals. A little bouncer up the middle. Going to take care of Lopes. The inning is done. Rangers leave a man. We're halfway there tonight. This one with the Rangers 5-0 lead. A 5-run lead, and very pleased to be joined from the dugout by Jake Diekman. Jake, thanks for spending a few minutes with us. That's look, that's about all you spent out on the mound.
Hey, I'll take it.
That was a good job, man. To talk about a little bit, we were just talking about the difference for you maybe from a year ago and coming in, and regardless of how many years you spend in the league, is this spring training a little bit more exciting maybe than others in the past for you?
Yeah, I get to participate, which is very nice. But yeah, I'm glad to be back and pitching on a mound.
And getting some PFP work in. I mean, I know that, of course, you guys practice this stuff to the point where you can't take it anymore. But nice to get a couple of ground balls and get a little work in, I got to imagine.
It's nice to be able to get it game speed. So, yeah, that was nice.
Now, what about adrenaline for you? As much as we talk about, okay, a little bit different situation for you, right, back in spring training and different from a year ago, Is it still pretty difficult, though? I mean, even for a veteran to kind of replicate that in-season adrenaline. I know a lot of us will see, right, a couple of ticks on the fastball, and it's big different. You know, there's an extra deck, and the lights are brighter, and you're facing a full big league lineup. Is that a difference for you?
I mean, yeah. I feel like the more night games you get to play in spring training, that's better. It's the game, like the B games in the back. those kind of stink.
Yes, they do. We were over there today. Martin Perez, of course, had an opportunity to throw in a minor league game, and yeah, a little bit of a different feel. No doubt about it in those spots.
Big time.
Hey, Jake, you know, there's one thing to feeling good, coming in healthy, ready to go. There's an entirely different thing to really just feeling good as a human being, right? Like you feel like, talk about what a change in your life this has been now that you've you survived the 3 surgeries to take care of the ulcerative colitis. How are you feeling now, and just what's it like?
I feel great. The surgery actually worked, which is amazing. But yeah, my quality of life's a lot better. I feel great. I feel healthy, strong, ready to go, and yeah, it's just super nice to be able to participate this year.
Is there a big difference as far as, you know, anything daily life that has changed since the surgeries for you?
Not really. I mean, all this off season, I tried different foods like every other day. Stuff that doesn't work for me, stuff that does. So yeah, we got it pretty nailed down.
And a busy offseason, too, by the way. Congratulations. You and Amanda tied the knot.
Yeah, thank you.
In November. And how many of the guys able to make it out for the festivities?
There was quite a few. I mean, like, the weather was -14 that day.
Destination wedding.
Good timing.
Yeah, it was great. It was the coldest day in like 4,000 days in Nebraska. We picked a real winner.
The joys of being a baseball player, right? And unfortunately, there is no getting married in June.
Hey, you got 3.5 months to get married.
Any chance there were runses served at the reception afterwards?
We served double cheeseburgers at 11:45.
I love you. You're a good man. You are a good man.
We had to. Before midnight, you have to eat something.
All right, so you're feeling good. The bullpen makeup, right, has been a big part of the conversation this year. And as well as the rotation, and there's the swingman concept. Who's going to be the closer on this team? Do you get, I don't know, how far do you let yourself get engaged with that kind of stuff or fantasy, or do you just try and isolate all that and just go out and make sure the arm's healthy?
I feel like the biggest thing is you got to make sure you're healthy going in, and then just be prepared to pitch 60, 70 times a year. If that's in the 5th inning, and if that's in the 9th, I mean, it doesn't really matter as long as the bullpen can do their job and throw up zeros. I feel like we'll be very successful.
And as much as you say that, I wonder how much the game has changed, even from when you first broke in, getting guys that are willing to accept that, right? Because that's the big part of it. It's one thing to say it, but guys really have to buy into it. And I would say a decade ago, maybe not as much, right? I mean, not even that long ago. We're set up and we're like, no, I only pitch the 8th. And closers are like, no, I only pitch the 9th. Are we genuinely seeing guys come in now with a little bit more of an open mind?
I mean, I feel like, especially the young kids, they just want to pitch. I mean, get there.
Got there.
Yep. No, I mean, yeah, when I first came up, I mean, you had closer, setup guy. But, I mean, from the 6th inning on now, I feel like every other game in the big leagues, the 6th inning, the bullpen's already in. So if you have those guys that can shut the door, then you're good.
You know, sometimes we discover or learn incredible things through difficult times. Last year was a difficult time for the bullpen, and we saw this man out on the mound, Alex Claudio, kind of emerge and do some things that, you know, I don't know, under normal circumstances, he would have had the opportunity to do. What did you make of his season last year?
He's great. He's a great human being, first off. He doesn't get talked about enough. I played catch with him today, and it was miserable.
Because of the movement?
Yeah. I mean, his changeup, I grabbed that thing 3 times before I caught it. He's super confident in who he is. He doesn't change his pitching style. It might not be the sexiest thing, but to us, I mean, that's him. It is amazing to watch.
I love watching him. I mean, the changeup it's unbelievable. It's like a waterfall, just the way that it kind of goes over and the way that he turns it over. And right there, just making guys look silly.
That's how I was playing catch today.
Thanks, Jake. Hey, congrats again, man, on a great offseason and the marriage, and thanks for the time, man.
Thank you very much.
All right, Jake Diekman, and another perfect inning for another Rangers hurler. Nothing our score. Rangers right now in command of this one. Delino, DeShields with a really nice game for the top of the order with a couple of steals, couple of runs scored. Jesse Chavez set the tone today. 29 pitches, 23 of them for strikes in his 3 perfect innings.
He was locked in and really using the full repertoire, and certainly for Jeff Bannister, thrilled to see what Jesse Chavez brought to the table. You see the slider there, elevating the fastball up and away to a left-handed hitter. I mentioned that deep repertoire that he's got. A lot of different pitches in there. He'll throw the cutter, he's going to change up the curveball and the slider as well. Really is complete. He was excellent today, filling up the strike zone. 29 pitches. Are you kidding? In 3 innings, we'll take that every time.
Well, that was the great start to this one. Meanwhile, his offense gave him some support. Delino DeShields at the plate is the man who really ignited that with a base hit. 2 steals, scored on an error.
4 plate appearances now here in this game as we get closer and closer. Just 17 days away from opening day.
Now stays 0-2.
I like what Jake Diekman said too, talking about night games. What we're talking about adrenaline. I remember for years always thinking, why didn't we play the last week of spring training all night games?
Right.
Because especially when you're playing spring training in a different time zone from where your ballpark is, right? So in the case of course, the Rangers, a couple hours difference. You're playing all these day games, and then boom, season would start, and you're playing predominantly night games. Your body clock would always be a little jacked up. So it makes sense, or more night games, that we see it more and more in spring training. There's something to be said for being under the lights.
Liner into center field. Another base hit for DeShields. He'll go for 2. And he's got it. A double for Delino. Another really good night tonight for DeShields at the top of the order.
What a great approach, too, in this at-bat. Get a pitch away, ended up staying up a little bit more than Almonte wanted it, but not trying to do too much, right? If you're a big swinger, if you're trying to hit the ball out of the ballpark, a lot of times that pitch will turn into a pop-up, but Delino takes what is given right there, takes that fastball up and drives it to the right field gap.
The type of thing you'll only see in a spring training game. Delino DeShields being pinch run for. Fair enough. And Chu offers at the very first pitch he sees. And that one will be handled out in left field by the new left fielder, Anderson Miller. I'll take a look to the first 3 weeks of the regular season, CJ. Now, there are some day games in there. Look, 3 of the first 4 games are day games. What are you talking about?
It does happen. It doesn't happen a ton. But, of course, predominantly those night games and then back into the Pacific time zone as well. A trip to Oakland. We should get those getaway days, weekend day games. We'll be here before you know it. The season's starting early this year. There's a couple of extra off days. I believe there's 4 added off days now.
That's right.
So it changes things up. So the season still ends at the very end of September.
Little flare out to short, and that one will end up in a double play. And so Almonte dodges any real damage here in the 6th inning. Hanser Alberto left with very little in his hands. He's right there, 5-0 Rangers.
Hi there.
Heading out to the clubhouse. 5-0 Rangers lead as we go to the bottom of the 6th inning. And though he is done for the day, he's kind enough to spend a couple extra minutes with us. We welcome in Delino DeShields. Delino, thanks for taking a few minutes. Nice ball game again tonight.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, looking comfortable, man. Is this a little bit of a different feel for you? We were talking to Banny about it earlier, and you fought your way into the lineup last year. Great spring, had to kind of wait for your opportunity, and you really took over. Is it different for you coming in, feeling confident that you have your spot?
No, I keep the same mentality. Every day I come to the field like I'm playing, like I was last year. So, I'm still trying to, in my mind, earn my job. I'm glad that they noticed the work that I put in and the impact that I have on the game. Sorry, I'm out of breath. I just ran, but yeah, I feel good. I feel real comfortable. Extremely grateful for the opportunity. And I'm going to do whatever for this ball club so that we can, bring a trophy back home.
Absolutely. And, one of the things we always talk about with you, and I don't know how much you pay attention to this kind of stuff, but your batting average on ground balls last year was really high. And it's one of the strong suits of your game. And it's kind of opposite of what a lot of other people are doing, right? We see all these guys trying to get the ball in the air and hit home runs, man. But it is a lot of fun to watch you hit line drives, hit the ball on the ground, use your speed. Is that something that you're conscious of when you're stepping in the box?
Yeah, I don't want to hit the ball on the ground, so to say. I just try to focus on hitting hard line drives. And, with the guys who are in the big leagues, they throw 98, balls moving. So, sometimes it gets underneath my barrel. But, God blessed me with 2 legs that move pretty good. So, yeah, I just try to get on base. I don't care how I get on base. Yeah, when it's 2 strikes or whatever, I just try to put the ball in play and try to get to first base for the guys behind me.
Well, and obviously you employ the bunt as well as anybody in the game, and people always whining about the fact, big leaguers, they can't bunt anymore. not true, right? I mean, you still bunt very well, very successfully. How much time do you spend on that part of your game?
Oh, no. Probably 30 minutes a day. You know, spread out. You know, we'll go bunt in the morning. During our BP, we have like a cage in the back is for swinging, but I always use it to bunt. And right before the game, I do it. It helps me track the ball to the bat. Yeah, it's a weapon, you know what I'm saying? People take it for granted. But, yeah, you know, when guys are on base, it's a free at bat, less than 2 outs. Move the guys over, maybe get a base hit out of it. And as you saw today, I had a terrible bunt, but it created all this havoc, scored 2 runs, you know what I mean? So I take pride in that. I like putting pressure on the defense, getting on base, making them panic a little bit. And, yeah, it's a weapon for me, so I take pride in it.
Yeah, we'll take a look. And we saw the day that you have had first started off with that ground ball to right field, big base hit, get you on base, and then you became a really big headache for Drew Butera. I mean, we saw him, he jumped out of his squat quick, knowing you were going when you first stole second, then when you stole third, and he threw the ball in the outfield. And I think he was looking forward to you just scoring and kind of getting off the field, to be honest with you, which I know you said you love putting that pressure on defenses. When you're making that decision of when you want to bunt, and I don't want you to give away any secrets, obviously, but I'm always curious, is it because you know the defender out at third base or first base, or you know the pitcher falls off a certain way? What kind of things go into the decision for you when you're deciding to bunt for a hit?
Yeah, I mean, all those things kind of go into play. You know, lefties kind of fall off the mound, righties same. But for me, I don't really care who's playing third base, who's pitching, who's playing first. If I put it where I want it, it's a hit. So, you know, that's why I take pride in it, because the third baseman could be playing me at the pitcher's mound. But if I put it where I want it, he's still got to come in, run, make a good throw on the run. You know, sometimes that ball tails, or he has to make a perfect throw. It's a difficult play for a third baseman. And when I'm going to first base, you know, if the first baseman get it, the pitcher got to try to avoid him. Second baseman's coming or trying to come. And by that time, I'm halfway, 3/4 down the line. So, yeah, if I put it where I want it, you know, I feel like my chances are pretty high for getting on base.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, another thing that I really found interesting watching you, as much as I had that chance to last year, the 6 home runs. We know power maybe is not a huge part of your game, but you can hit the ball out of the ballpark. And I try to guess along a little bit, and tell me if I'm wrong here, but I feel like there was times where you almost made a little bit of a conscious decision where you were going to get a little big and kind of go for it once in a while. So I saw you hit some deep fly balls at times. Like, we see your regular swing, and then there's some times where you feel like you might have a chance and try to drive one out of. Is that a fair assessment of kind of how you plan it? If it's not, you can tell me no. It's all right.
You can let it eat every now and then. You know what I'm saying? But I try to be consistent with my swing as much as possible. You know, my last 2 homers that I hit last year, the left field, you know, it was just reaction. Throwing my hands down and getting the barrel to it. And, you know, the ball takes off. So, you know, the pitchers supply all the power for me. You know, I just got to square it up, hit it good. And my dad always told me, you know, try to focus on hitting line drives, and line drives turn into homers. So, yeah, that's always kind of been my mindset. I just try to hit the ball as hard as I can, and if it happens to go out, cool. But you know, my main mission, my main goal is to get on base and you know, touch on play at least twice a game.
Well, you had the inside the park home run last year too, right? I mean, those can work out for you, especially a guy like you.
I mean, yeah, you know, I'm this little guy. People underestimate my power, so, you know, they play in a little bit. So, yeah, I can take advantage of that, too. But I don't, you know, try to do it. It's an accident. Homers are accidents for me. You know, if I focus on hitting the ball hard and, you know, I might catch something out front, get a little backspin on it, take off, or, you know, same to right field. I just, yeah, I don't focus on hitting homers. I just try to hit the ball hard and you know, put pressure on the defense, and if it goes out, it goes out.
You were talking about how you still treat it as if you come to work every day, you still have something to prove, you're always working on things. Pretty fascinating to listen to you talk about the work that you do with bunts every day. What about on the defensive side? Tell us a little bit about maybe some things that you're working on right now, or just what your daily routine is like in the outfield when you're talking about your defense.
Well, you know, the responsibility of being a center fielder, you have, you know, you see everything. You're in the middle, you know, whoever's hitting, so you're responsible for the guys on the corner. It's constant communication, and for me, that keeps me on my toes. You know, it's difficult just being stagnant and being in one place and getting flat-footed. So, you know, what helps me is always just moving, reading the swings, mentally being ready and anticipating every ball that's going to come to me. So, you know, if a ball's hit foul, I'm breaking to it. If there's a ground ball, I'm breaking to it to, you know, just reaction stuff. So that was always my biggest thing coming up, learning a new position was my first step. You know, I always had makeup speed to make up, you know, some of my false steps, but I've been really taking note of my first step and being direct to the ball. And, you know, a lot of it is power shagging and BP too. You know, I try to do that every single day. You know, I take defense just as important as my bunting, my hitting. You know, I want to be an all-around baseball player, so whatever I got to do that's going to make me better, you know, that's what I'm going to do. And, you know, I'm trying to help all of our guys, you know, the same way, so we have a really good last line of defense in the outfield. And, yeah, it's something that I'm passionate about. I've grown to love it. And I love taking away hits from the opposing team.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. What is more fun, taking one away in the gap, maybe laying out and stealing an extra base hit, or hitting one yourself?
I think it depends on the situation. You know, if I'm over, well, I always want to take away hits. But, you know, if I haven't gotten a hit or hitting balls hard and, you know, I'm not getting no luck, you better be sure. If you hit a ball in the center field, I'm catching it, you know. But, yeah, it always feels good, especially when there's guys on base, saving runs. For me, that's a productive day. You know, making them play in the gap. You know, maybe cutting the ball off on defense and stopping the runner from advancing an extra base. You know, those are things that excite me. And yeah, like I said, I take pride in it. And you know, if I can't do nothing offensively that day, you better be sure I'm going to do something defensively. So,
do you look at the metrics? I've heard outfielders talk about defensive metrics, and I've also gotten the impression that some people are kind of iffy on them. Do you look at any of those defensive numbers?
No. I play with my eyes. I've always played with my eyes. You know, the analytics stuff is good. But being an outfielder, if it's in the air, you better catch it. So, you know, whatever you got to do to catch the ball, you know, it's an out. So that's what's important to me. But, you know, I got a lot of room to cover. So I have to work on other things as well. I want to be you know, hopefully one day a Gold Glove center fielder, you know, help this team. So, yeah, I mean,
well,
yeah, it is what it is.
You know, last year you were top 10 in the league in assists in the outfield, you know, and it wasn't like you were a starting outfielder from day one of the season, right? You kind of had to work your way in. And it's been a funny odyssey the last couple of years for you. And I bet that it would surprise a lot of people to know that over the last 3 years, you have played more games in the outfield than any other Ranger. You have been the most consistent starter in the outfield over the last 3 years, and I think that would come as a surprise to a lot of people, maybe even to you.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
And so I guess my question is, a lot of it has come in left field. You've talked a lot about center field. Is it just a given that you guys want to be center fielders and standout center fielders, or do you have a strong preference for one over the other?
I mean, I treat both of them the same. You know, left field is probably the harder out of the three. Being a center fielder, you have more room to cover. You got the gaps to worry about. You know, and the responsibility is all on you. So, you know, like I said before, we're the last line of defense. So for me, I want to make sure all my guys are in the right place based off of what I see. And if, you know, they hit the opposite, that's on me. I'll you know, take the blame for it and, you know, try to correct that. But, yeah, it doesn't matter. I feel like I am a center fielder. I like going to get it, and I like being in charge out there. You know, it bothers me when I look at guys who just stand in one place. You know, because in the bat, everything changes. You can see a swing, they're late, you got to move. You know, hopefully your pitcher, your catcher sees that too, and you know they just keep pounding it because that's what we're playing. we have a good enough outfield to where we can make up for a lot of stuff. And like I said, you know, me being a center fielder, I'm trying to cover everything. If it's hit down the line, I'm trying to get it. That's just my mindset. I expect every ball to be hit to me. And yeah, I just want to, I want to be a great center fielder. And I think, you know, playing every day, getting the reps, you know, I think I'd be a really good center fielder.
Well, without a doubt, we got a good glimpse of that last year. You mentioned that, you know, moving and adjusting. How comfortable are you telling your corner outfielders what to do, right? You read something, you see something, you have the best view in the outfield.
Yeah. Are
you comfortable pulling a guy over or pushing? And obviously we know the coaches there lining guys up, but you may see something different. You have the confidence to do that?
Oh, yeah. It took a while for these guys to kind of trust me a little bit. But, you know, every time I move them, sure enough, the ball gets hit to them, right? And they don't have to move, you know? So it's just kind of just building that trust and building that confidence. And, you know, there's some guys that are timid when I say, hey, come in, come in some more, come in. They're like afraid, like I got you, but I got behind you. If they hit you, if they hit the ball over your head, you know, it's the pitcher's fault, you know, especially with 2 strikes. So, yeah, I always, every pitch, I try to move. And wherever I move my corner outfielders, I got to make sure that I got their back, you know, 100%. So, yeah, if I bring a guy in, I make sure that I'm really far over, and, you know, I got behind them, and, you know, we do a good job communicating front and back. So, yeah, you know, it took some time, but, you know, these guys get real comfortable, and, you know, it's really fun working with them.
Well, listen, man, keep it up. It's a delight to watch you. We love it so much, and we really appreciate you taking some time tonight.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Delano.
All right, Delano DeShields joining us for that 6th inning. Back for the 7th in a moment.
Hats off to the ones who
leading the Royals by a score of 5-0. Don't miss out on the first bobblehead of the season. Head to Globe Life Park on Saturday, March 31st, when your Rangers take on the Houston Astros at 3:05 p.m. The first 15,000 fans will receive an Adrian Beltre home run counter bobblehead. And it's courtesy of TXU Energy. Make sure you visit TexasRangers.com. Darn it. Or call 972-RANGERS. I was feeling so good about myself. I'm like, man, I am nailing this thing. And then last line.
Yeah.
Did you tripped all over myself?
Did you get a little ahead of yourself? Yes. Were you already thinking about how I nailed it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I know.
100%. There was one guy in the back of my head going, man, you're killing this. You're doing great, CJ. Keep it up. Darn it. Oh, well.
It's all right. Nicely done. 1-1 count from Barlow. That one taken for a strike. Altman came in, I don't know, about an inning ago. Playing third base. 1-2 pitch. fouled away. So a lot of the starters from tonight's game are gone, and their evening's done. This was a split squad game today. Game earlier today in Goodyear, just south of here, against the Reds. There's one guy who is sticking around for a little bit more, Rootin' Odor. And Altman sends this one high in the air out to right field. Some room out there. Hernandez pulls it in. We're talking about a home run counter. Let's go back to Cleveland last year, number 450. Oh, Adrian Beltre.
Well, he did it off a good pitcher right there in Corey Kluber. And even though Adrian Beltre missed a good amount of time last year with those injuries, there were some big moments, some round numbers, and he just continues to get it done. Probably more impressive than anything. And you look at his year last year, not just hitting a couple of milestones. He was playing at a near MVP level. I kept thinking, man, what happens if he had gotten 650 plate appearances last year? Talked a little bit about it in the offseason, and Adrian does a good job of keeping things close to the vest, plans, the future. But the Rangers could get him a ring this year. Kind of alluded to the fact that it could be a decent send-off. I might be okay with that. He seems like he has a lot of baseball still left in him. I know the injuries, and you're wondering, can he play defense every single day for a couple more years? Certainly that would be a challenge. He could do it. It'd be a challenge. But man, he can still hit.
Well, he's a couple of weeks away from turning 39 years old. This is his 21st major league season. As Odor takes the ball.
You know, Bartolo Colon not that impressed with the 39-year-old. You got at least 5 or 6 years left, right?
But how about this, though? Jerry Fraley, the Dallas Morning News, put together a story a couple weeks ago, I think. And he was basically posing the question you're talking about, right, which is playing defense every day at third for Adrian Beltre. Only 6 guys in Major League history who have appeared in 100 or more games at third base once they've reached 39 years old. Chipper Jones did it a couple of times toward the end of his career. I mean, guys like George Brett, I mean, he stopped playing third base when he was 33 years old. And he made it, I mean, he's been pretty outspoken about it. He got moved to first base. The outfield, he felt like it was a day off. As Odor takes a cold strike 3. Doesn't like it too much. And lets Nick Marley know about it, 2 away. But you wonder, too, I mean, it's a demanding position.
It is. I mean, you think about those plays that Adrian Beltre is so good on, right? The slow rollers, the bare hand plays. You know, it's a reactionary position as well, but without a doubt, it'd be difficult to do. It makes sense what you're saying as far as the history as players get older and how many games they can actually play at third base. And I think it even applies more so in this generation because these guys train harder, they go harder. The offseason is not an offseason the way that it used to be back in the day, where you use spring training to get in shape, where now guys come into shape and ready to go.
Two-0 pitch to Casale. And that one misses. Casale, one of the primary candidates for the backup role at catcher this year with the Rangers, and swinging 3-0. That pop-up out into right field. Long run out there, and it drops down in front of Hernandez. What was going on there? And then
what in the world?
We talk about hitting your cutoff man.
It's a figure of speech. You're not actually supposed to hit him.
That was an adventurous little play right there.
This was really incredible. First of all, you take the 3-0 swing, and not exactly what Casale wanted as far as contact, but nevertheless, it turns into a hit. But watch this throw here from Hernandez. He's right there. You're be on your toes. Slide can't quite get there. Nope, cut 2 and yikes.
Well, Casale gets a double. Chance for Drew Robinson to drive one in here. Robinson 1 for 3 tonight.
Playing a game of burnout.
Wow.
Just catch it, throw it back at him as hard as you can until somebody drops it.
You can dodge a wrench. Two-0. And a good high strike that time from Barlow. Scott Barlow. New pitcher this inning, 6'3", 170. I think he might be the shortest pitcher they've run out there today. They have run a really nice lineup of small forwards tonight. 2-2. Barlow, 25 years old, right-hander, looking for his first trip to the big leagues. Last year, split time between Oklahoma City and Tulsa. Made 26 starts. Well, the Rangers got 2 in the first, 2 in the second, another in the 4th inning tonight. They've had a lot of base runners. One of the better offensive performances that they have posted here in the last week and change. Put away, and it's a full count.
As you start getting inside, we mentioned 17 days until opening day, but you start getting inside of a week, right? That 7 to 10 day period. That's when guys would prefer to start kind of hitting their groove a little bit, making sure they're stringing together quality at bats. You want to see all your position players start to get deep in games, certainly your pitchers as well.
Barlow's 3-2, and he loses Robinson, so 2 base runners here in this 7th inning. Talking about round numbers a little bit earlier. This was a pretty good day, July 30th, number 3,000 for the big fella.
What a fantastic day in Ranger history on a 3-0 count. Something Adrian Beltre doesn't do often, hadn't done often throughout his career. And really, I mean, the whole day, right? Same day that Pudge Rodriguez goes into the Hall of Fame. Revealing him sign with his family. It was a fantastic day.
Pinch runner for Robinson at first base. Hunter Cole has taken over out there. There's Hunter. So Robinson's night is done. Another one fouled away. 0-2. The count here on Preston Beck. Beck's first at bat of the day. So he did last year in the minor leagues, 245 average.
And guys love these opportunities. You come over from minor league camp to play in front of the big league coaching staff, and you know the reality is, we know, of course, they're filling spots, taking innings at bat so that the big league guys can exit right around this time, but still an opportunity. You can always leave an impression. It's a small one. Do something special, square a ball up, make a nice defensive play. Managers don't forget that.
Austin Bibbins-Dirks comes to mind last year. Beck pops this one up near second base. Ryan Goins in the game, and he'll tuck it away. So the inning is done. Rangers leave a couple more. They'll stand and stretch here tonight. 5-0. Good guys.
Today's Royals game is brought to you by
games live on your favorite supported devices. Blackout and other restrictions do apply for regular season games. Make sure you visit MLB.tv for details.
Well done.
Oh, thank you.
A little redemption as David Hurlbut back out there again. Here we got the final out of the 6th inning. And goes to work here in the 7th. Little low, 1-2 the count. Hurlbut got the pop up to get out of a bases loaded jam. And this ball is crushed out to left field.
Nice.
Schwindel with the home run. Way up over the grassy berm out there beyond the bullpen. And Kansas City is on the scoreboard.
Well, there's a 1-2 count, and more often than not, you're thinking about striking a hitter out. And you see the breaking ball that was meant to be down and in, stayed over the middle of the plate. This ball was hit a mile.
Yeah, that probably feels pretty good. Schwindel. That one had that explosive noise to it too, boy, when it met the bat. So a no-doubter. Kansas City finally breaks through. They did not have a hit through the first 5 innings. Did not have a base runner through the first 5 innings. So now Liddy, and he lines this one over first, slices down that line, and it is just foul.
Was slicing pretty hard. Looked like it had a chance off the bat. As you see, it just a foot or so foul.
One-two pitch and got in on his hands. And he fights it off. That one past third base and into left field. Home run. Base hit. Royals offense showing a little life.
So that pitch finishing down, and it's a nice swing right there. Liddy.
So he is on now for Arteaga. He's been playing shortstop last couple of innings. First at bat for Arteaga, and Hurlbut puts it right in there. Little roller shortstop. Quick shovel to second. One the relay in time, and that'll erase Liddy from the bases. The double play goes 6-4 to 3.
Good job to get yourself out of some trouble here after a couple of base hits, a home run, and then that base hit to lead things off. But Taylor made, and that was something we saw the Rangers do extremely well really the last couple of years. You see Berto out there.
Lopes has played the whole game. Now Ryan Goins. And he takes low. Well, Hurlbut has to work quickly and misses low. 2 balls and no strikes. Hanser Alberto last year pretty much missed the entire season. Did not get much of a chance to play at all last year due to injury, and he'll get another opportunity at shortstop. He's a slick one and makes that one look easy. inning is done. The Royals get on the board, though, with a long home run by Schwindel. We go to the 8th inning, 5-1. Go in a 4-run game. The Junior Rangers Club, presented by Smile Generation, the official kids club for Rangers fans 13 and under. Junior Rangers members receive exclusive Rangers gear, including a backpack, performance tee, and performance socks. Memberships are available just $25 at TexasRangers.com/Junior Rangers. It's a great deal, and it's just a lot of fun for the kids.
I'm digging those socks.
Love those socks.
Who do you have to know to get a pair of those? Is there a limit on the junior club?
13 years old, partner. Come on. They just need to make friends with, I guess, my kids.
I got one sub 13-year-old. Yeah. Think they come in a size 13?
No.
There's some 13-year-olds that sport a 13.
They're absurd, these kids. You were talking earlier about the size of the guys in the minor league backfields these days. It's ridiculous how big the kids are.
I agree.
This one lined sharply up the middle, and that's a base hit. Underway here in the 8th inning. Christian Lopes paid off to stay in as long as he has. A couple of hits and a walk today.
Good day for him. Gets that fastball right down the middle. Good swing. Take it right back up the box. You see the hands there close to the body. Not a lot of movement. Short to the ball.
So now to the top of the order. Michael O'Neill. His first at bat today.
Thank you.
Oh, this is ball hard out there to right center field. Hangs up though for Hernandez. One away. So I mentioned earlier, this is the first of 3 games against the Royals here during spring training. Of course, they'll face each other in the regular season. 7 games this year in the regular season. But look at this, the last 13 games against the Royals, the Rangers are 12-1. And largely because they're just pitching the heck out of the ball against him. A 164 earned run average. And kind of like tonight, 5 perfect innings to start this thing.
Yeah, it's not like they were blowouts. You saw the runs per game, right? Those are not necessarily numbers that blow you away. The pitching numbers, however, do. And those 6 wins in 1-run games against the Royals as well. So it's been a good matchup for the Rangers, and 6 more games this year in the regular season, and they expect that trend to continue. And the Royals are kind of an unusual spot. They were probably one of the most interesting teams to keep an eye on. They were last year at the deadline, right? What was going to happen with all their pending free agents. Would they trade any of them? And they didn't. They kept the guys together. But what was going to happen with Eric Hosmer, who eventually signed at San Diego, Lorenzo Cain, guys moving on, but they did bring back Alcides Escobar, and just recently, shockingly, really, Mike Moustakas.
Well, I mean, they got him for free.
Essentially, I mean, he turned down. Remember, of course, he turned down the qualifying offer, which was $17 million, and he signed for what, $6.5?
$6.5, yeah.
He lost almost a little more than $11 million. That's my math. Yep, right. Nobody was expecting that.
Pop up into right field. And Hood turned back 2 away. Well, it was a wild offseason for a lot of free agents. But you look at last year for Kansas City, just below 500, 80 and 82, finished 3rd in the division. And a team, they had a big decision to make at the deadline. Were they going to, try and gut it out, see what would happen, or see what they could get in trades? And they went for it, and I think that, no matter what, you knew it was going to be a rebuild. As they'll throw down a second base, goes down Lopes, and the inning is done. Lopes says, come on. I don't think so. 8th inning over for the Rangers. Bottom of the 8th coming, 5-1 Texas.
Potential dad and son there, Royals and Ranger fans in the same household, but it's now 5-1 here in the bottom of the 8th inning. We're talking about the Kansas City Royals, and really forgot to mention, of course, Mike Minor now here with the Rangers. Peter Moylan has moved on to the Atlanta Braves, second time around for him with that club. Brought back Escobar, brought back Moustakas, and still a couple of free agents out there. Melky Cabrera, Trevor Cahill, so came back to Milwaukee. It's been an interesting offseason, but you mentioned it. You said, kind of going into a rebuild, but not completely, which is interesting to me, right? They bring in John Jay, they bring in Lucas Duda, they bring back Mike Moustakas on a short-term deal to give him an opportunity. But I'm kind of surprised because Royals fans, I think, have a stomach for the full rebuild, right? Because they've been through it. They've been through that period where they were really bad, young teams, letting prospects play, and it was ugly there for a little while. They got it turned around. They started making their moves. Remember, they traded Will Myers and brought in James Shields, and that kind of set the whole thing off. You said, hey, we're getting ready now to change what we're going to do. 2014, take it to a Game 7. 2015, win it all. So I thought, kind of like what you were saying, once they went back the other way, they were going to go all the way in, but they're kind of in the middle here a little bit with some of the guys. It's short-term deals. They're low-risk deals, not really big deals. But they didn't just say, you know what, we're going to give these at-bats and these innings to all young players.
Well, and so let's take Moustakas as an example. Because I'm with you. I feel like they're kind of straddling the line here a little bit, and I don't know that I don't know that I'm qualified to say one way or the other what one team should do. But you could, I mean, he could become a nice piece at in July. And
No doubt.
you could turn Moustakas into maybe a little more accelerated rebuild or a deeper rebuild by getting some prospects back, perhaps. You know, and play it like that a little bit. And that makes sense. And certainly for what they risked financially to bring him back, I mean, that is nothing. So it was a no-brainer opportunity, I would assume. Yoander Mendez on now in relief, and he gets a fly ball quickly for out number 1.
No, I agree. And they could be a team that will be sellers again at the deadline as they bring in some guys that could offer something to other teams. What will be interesting in the case of Mike Moustakas is what other third baseman could be available in the trade market. You have Manny Machado's going to be a free agent this year. If the Orioles are not contending, would they consider trading him? Josh Donaldson will be a free agent. If the Blue Jays are not contending, would they consider trading him? And unfortunately for Mike Moustakas, you think about trying to have that career year going into free agency. And he had it. He had 38 home runs last year, set a Royals record. He's never been a great on-base guy, and you kind of take it or leave it to some degree. But he had that career year, and it turned into him getting a contract that he never, ever expected. And the idea of going into free agency again next year with the 2 guys that I just mentioned.
Yeah, not cool.
It's going to be further down the line. You know what I thought killed him or hurt his market a little bit was when the Angels signed Zach Kozar. Zach Kozar was a shortstop with the Reds. The Angels signed him to play third base. I thought that might have been a natural fit with the Angels. Team that has some money needed a third baseman. They went out and got a shortstop instead to play third. And that was a team I think that significantly hurt his market. It was really interesting to see the way that whole thing went down. But the Royals are sitting there in the middle, but I think you're right. Probably more with the idea of, well, if we happen to contend, great. But if not, we have some tradable pieces.
Well, tight 3-1 the count from Yoander Mendez. And Yoander's an intriguing guy. He's one of those really promising young arms. 23 years old. Venezuela. Big guy as he gets a pop-up here on the left side of the infield. And that will be handled by LeBlanc, the new third baseman this inning. And there are 2 gone.
I think it's important that Mendez has a good showing here in camp. Still just 23 years old. We saw him last year. He pitched 7 games at the big league level. And I think realistically for the Rangers, he is an option if they have to dip into the minor leagues in the starting rotation. Right, if there's an issue, something comes up, he is certainly one of those guys. He'll be on the short list.
Ball going to hang up a little bit out there in center field. O'Neill runs underneath it, and the inning is done. So a 1-2-3 for Mendez, and we head to the 9th. Although it looks like a little bit of a wrestling match here at the bottom of the screen. Hey, what else is coming up this spring? Lots of games on the old tube tomorrow. Brewers, and we'll carry the Brewers telecast for that one. Then over the weekend, we're back at it again on TXA 21. Royals on Saturday, Angels on Sunday. As you can see, just about everything on TV the rest of the way. Those Cincinnati games, those are at Globe Life Park. A couple of exhibitions back home. Little dress rehearsals to get everything ready for opening day on Thursday. And Andres Machado on a relief now for Kansas City. Faces Hanser Alberto. 0 for 1 tonight. Ground ball shortstop right to his opposite number, and Alberto retired to start the 9th inning.
Take it back. Those socks are better than maybe the junior club socks.
Tell you what, socks, it's been the last, probably 5 years, socks have really just turned things around.
Not your standard tube socks anymore.
No, sir. You got to do something with your socks.
That's something I wanted to ask Delino that I forgot. Remember, he had the great cleats last year. Was it Father's Day that he had them? Kind of wonder if he had anything in store, because that's a trend that I think we're seeing come over from the NFL a little bit. Baseball's been a little bit better about allowing players to do some fun things, and I think they should. Good on them for that.
Altman fouls that one away. 1-1 the count on what Players Weekend returns again this year.
There he is. And those were awesome. And the painting there in the corner of him and his dad, you see on the heel there. I think you and I need a pair of shoes like that, matching.
Come back. Yeah.
So from that view, my first thought was little Captain America, too, right?
Oh, sure, yeah.
So you kind of work it both ways.
But knowing just a little bit about your personality, those socks look to me like they could be a challenge for you, because if they were just slightly crooked, or uneven, well, I see you getting really locked up by that.
Yeah, without a doubt. I'm struggling with these windows in this booth right now. None of them are lined up.
Oh, these two line up a fly ball to left center. Miller takes it. Altman retired. 2 gone. So just to give you an idea of the windows.
This one only opens to here, and then you got this one that opens to here, and for some reason that one's like 6 inches shorter. But you can't move this one. It's broken. It's got its own little holder here. If I move it, it'll crush this camera. So,
circle takes a square.
Yep. It's a little bit of a mess. It does have that feel, right?
Yeah.
Hollywood Squares, right?
Hollywood Squares. I'll take Mikowski for the block. Side corner. 2 gone here, and nobody on. Jose Trevino's first at bat today. Another in that mix for the backup catcher's duty on this team. A hole 1 and 2, and he is a promising young backstop in this Rangers organization for Corpus Christi, and defensively he might be as good as there is. The question will be, can the bat translate as he continues to move his way closer and closer to the big leagues?
I think definitely something that helps him is the appreciation of great defense, right? Obviously now we have even metrics that try to back up what catchers are doing, or at least try to put value on what they're doing behind the plate.
Oh, line drive, base hit, that'll help.
Scoring more baseballs up like that will certainly help his cause as well. Take a look here, trying to go down, and you see that ball kind of finish up over the plate. Good swing there, nice balance from Trevino. You're right, that'll be the part of his game to keep an eye on. Here he is at 25 years old. I don't think anybody doubts that he can handle a big league pitching staff defensively.
Well, he got his base hit. They stuck around a long time for that brief moment tonight. He's a pinch hitter. Run for by Rollin down there at first. Franklin Rollin. Rollin takes off, and the throw down there is in time. And he is gunned down, and the inning is done. So nothing doing in the 9th inning for the Rangers. Last of the 9th come, but Rangers lead by 4. Grass, watching a little game. Can't beat it. 4-run lead for the Rangers. So, you know, we were talking about this a little bit earlier. Better than 6,100 home runs last year. Another all-time record. Over 40,000 strikeouts. Another all-time record. 59 complete games, an all-time low.
That trend likely will continue on the complete games, and we saw it kind of play out in the regular season and then in the postseason. I think the Dodgers were an interesting team in that regard with Rich Hill and just kind of refusing him the opportunity to face the order for the 3rd time, right? That's been the trend in the conversation. And teams, as they look at their bullpen a little bit deeper and try to really load up on arms, they don't see the value in it. I mean, a lot of them don't even see the value in a guy making 32 starts anymore. As much as we talk about 6-man rotation, we'll see what they're going to do. The Angels, with the Angels, they seem like a team that are kind of poised for it. And I just think that trend continues. Total innings go down. I mean, how many 200 inning pitchers are we going to see? Not many.
The whole thing with Rich Hill last year in the postseason drove me up the wall.
Same.
And
I think him too, quite honestly.
Yeah, no, I think it did. I was getting that sense. But and I definitely understand the place for all this information, and look, a lot of smart people doing a lot of smart stuff, and we've proved, I think strategically how the game is executed by so many teams so much over the last 10 years. It's remarkable. But I just feel like those games and those situations are so different from what you're basing the body of work of those decisions on, that sometimes you gotta veer away from it just a little bit. Bruce Bochy is the guy who strikes me as a guy who just manages by feel at that time of year and does so very well, or had for the Giants and all those postseason runs. And I felt like they let him. Obviously, he's armed with all the information, but they let him do some things in the moment that made more sense.
Well, he's earned it too. I think that's part of it. And the trend has changed as we see so many managers that are inexperienced. And the way that inexperienced managers get jobs is that they're going to be agreeable with the front office, right? That is a new trend. And so I think a lot of them have realized and have been sold on the information and why an organization wants to take on a certain philosophy, and they kind of have to go with it. I mean, Dave Roberts didn't budge. I mean, it wasn't I don't even think he anguished over the decision. It was an automatic with Rich Hill. And they basically went 1 for 2 in that situation. One of the games that ended up being a disaster, the other one ended up working out. And they very easily can say, well, listen, we took it to Game 7 of the World Series. Only 2 teams that were playing in that game that were still alive at that point. So backing up their philosophy and their opinion, I'm with you. I think there's times where you have to read it a little bit better. But if they're going to play for the most part strictly by the book. The interesting thing on that with Rich Hill only being allowed to face the order twice is although his numbers were limited, they were really, really good third time through the order. That was the other part of it. Now, I'm sure that's part of his argument. If you look at his numbers, they were some of the best in the league third time through the order. But they weren't. The sample size was relatively small because of how often they let him do it. It's not going to change. It's really not.
No, that doesn't appear that it is.
And I think you're seeing, it's a little bit disturbing, but it is what it is that pitchers are comfortable with it. They are now coming up thinking, I just got to get through the order twice. As opposed to, and kind of Cole Hamels, we talk about old school guys that came up thinking, I got to find a way to get into the 8th or 9th inning. And that's my battle. And teams will be satisfied. What will be interesting to see is how it reflects starter salaries, too. That's the other part of it.
Well, and that comment that you just made, my job to get in the 8th or 9th inning, the generation prior would scoff at that. What do you mean get in the 8th or 9th inning? Your job is to complete the game, get the win.
Yep.
And so that, I get it, right? Times change, game has evolved, and it continues to evolve, and I guess it's just something we all have to understand and get used to. But boy, the Rich Hill thing just seems so blatant to me and so unique, and at the end, maybe it really wouldn't have moved the needle one iota anyway, but it was interesting to watch.
I think in this version of baseball, bigger, faster, stronger also means more injuries. And so it's part effectiveness, and it's also part injury prevention.
Well, Yoander Mendez has come on. He pitched a perfect 8th inning. Has retired the first 2 batters he has faced here in the 9th inning. And an opportunity to finish this game the way it began, which was with Jesse Chavez throwing 3 perfect innings. Bouncer, left side. And that should do it. It does. So a perfect 8th and 9th innings for Yoander Mendez. And he helps close off the 5-1 Rangers victory here tonight. For C.J. Nikowski and our entire crew, I'm Dave Raymond. Rangers Spring Training Baseball is on KTXA 21 Saturday night at 8 Central against the Royals. This has been a presentation of Fox Sports. Once again, our final score tonight, the Rangers 5, the Royals 1.